Salisbury Center, we are ready for our next fight, and this is our last amateur fight of the evening, and it is going to be a good one. These two are going to be battling it out for the Cagezilla Featherweight title. And now, making his way to the cage and fighting out of the red corner, it's Mitch Dean.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Cagezilla 85 as we close out our amateur bout with the entrance of Mitch Dean.
Yeah, Mitch Dean out of Gym O. And if you remember, Mitch took a fight on his last fight under the bright Cagezilla lights in the 170-pound weight class. Yes, I said 170 pounds, so that's not one, but two weight classes up from the weight class that he knew he normally fought in, the featherweight weight class. But he came out short notice, took the fight on a couple weeks' notice, and ultimately, you know, had a dominant win. So really excited. I thought that he was a guy that was very deserving to get in here for this featherweight title fight against another tough guy that's been fighting in the higher weight classes, Jake Atwell. Both guys getting discipline, getting down to their fit, lean weight classes in the featherweight weight class, and oh man, this is a title fight you guys do not want to miss. Make sure you guys are tuned in for this one. Do not blink. Let's get our blue corner in here.
And his opponent, making his way to the cage and fighting out of the blue corner, is Jake Atwell.
And here's Jake Atwell, his opponent, another incredibly confident fighter with a pedigree to his name. Very excited to see him here for what is sure to be a banger of a title fight.
Oh man, yes. Jake Atwell's been chomping at the bit to get this title fight in the featherweight weight class. He was fighting at lightweight for a while. He knew that he wasn't cutting a ton of weight in the lightweight weight class. He came up a little short. He made it all the way to the lightweight title fight, actually. Came up a little short, but now down at his appropriate weight class in the featherweight class. You know, I mean, this guy is a complete dog, and he's going to come in here and bring the heat. He's got a ton more experience than Dean here coming into this fight here tonight, and he looks to exploit Dean in that regard. And coming out of a great gym also. You know, Gym O is Mitch Dean's gym, and Jake Atwell coming out of Rising Tide. So really, really excited to see both of these guys in here. I hope the audience knows what they're watching when they see this beautiful featherweight title fight here tonight.
All right, getting ready for this one. Let's throw it over to Chris Fuller to make this fight official.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is our last amateur fight of the evening, and it is for the vacant Cagezilla featherweight title. This bout is scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds, and it is brought to you by our friends at the Shop Gym, the Virginia Mecca, and Ace Party Rental. They've got you covered. Check them out at acepartycentral.com. And now, starting out, fighting out of the red corner, standing 5'8" and weighing in at 145 pounds, fighting out of Gym O, it's Mitch No Mercy Dean! And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner, standing 5'6" and weighing in at 145 pounds, fighting out of Rising Tide, it's Jake Atwell! Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this bout is for the vacant Cagezilla featherweight title. It is scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds. It is brought to you by the Shop Gym and Ace Party Rental, and your referee is Gabe Balajic. And here is Gabe Balajic with the fighter instructions.
The rules: press shot at all times, keep it clean, follow my instructions.
No, here we go. Oh, come on. Come on. So excited to see the showdown here. Both of these guys with a great grappling pedigree. Mitch more of a wrestling pedigree, and Jake more of a jiu-jitsu slash kind of brawling pedigree. So we'll see whose style prevails. That's what Jake said he wanted to see when we got him on Cagezilla Unchained. He said, this is going to be a clash of styles. We'll see whose styles prevails.
Yep, as it currently stands, both of these fighters just want to feel each other out. We're going the distance here, given the fact that this is going to be for a title. We got more rounds ahead of us, and therefore a little bit of a test of endurance, even for well-conditioned fighters.
Yeah, both guys know what they're up against. And looking to kind of feel out the waters here, I'm sure, here in the beginning part. Jake said he was going to try to put his hands on him and try to avoid takedowns. So let's see if he gets his boxing going.
Yeah, Jake with a very low stance here, maybe trying to slip in under guard or something like that. Currently just looking for an approach option. Neither has really committed to throwing a strike right now, knowing what could be coming their way if they overinvest.
Yeah, good feel out process here. Fight that's it's been a little different than the fights we've seen here tonight, right, Chris?
Oh, absolutely the case, but honestly, it's one that's really, really exciting to see. You can tell that I'm a person whose brain has been rendered soft and malleable by lots and lots of pro wrestling, but it's those stare downs that get me the most excited. And here, with all the power behind these two fighters, it's also the case that I cannot wait to see what's about to happen. Yet again, a slow stutter step approach here by Jake Atwell, not going to cascade into much, as once again, Mitch Dean respects, gives space, and then tries to reestablish dominance center stage.
Yeah. Sometimes when you get two guys that are super skilled and a high fight IQ, it makes for a more even kind of back and forth fight where they're kind of feeling each other out, and neither one wants to give them an inch. So I think that's what we're seeing here right now.
Cheap kick to buy space is going to follow that up as we see Mitch Dean attempt to enter. Yet again, space being made, hook not going to land, and you can see just how much both of these fighters scuttle back as soon as they try to invest in something that doesn't quite land. They understand that this is a top-tier fighter, hungry for that belt, and therefore they know that they do not want to take even a hint of damage that could offset the delicate balance of these 5 rounds.
Yeah, it looks to me that Mitch is closing the distance. I think he's hunting his takedown here, just looking for the proper time. But he looks like he's trying to circle him and cut off corners and get him to the cage.
Close up to one another, close stance, still a lot of distance being made. Lean in, not going to lead to much. This is also demonstrating how difficult it would be to go for a takedown if you wanted to go the more grappling route. Immediately, you're going to get stuffed and punished by how solidly these guys are able to transition guard.
Yeah, and Jake, with that low center of gravity, I mean, he is a block of iron. You know what I mean? Like, he's not the guy it's necessarily easy to take down. If you're trying to lower your level on that guy, he's right there with you. He's gonna meet you just like meeting you like a train against train, and he's got some grappling, like I say, himself. And I know he's talking about how his coach always tells him, like, if you get taken down, pretend like there's spikes on the mat, right? You get right back up. You pop back up to your feet. You catch those underhooks, and you start getting back to position.
And yet still, no real contact has been made by either fighter, knowing the dangers here. Satori immediately is going to turn things on its head, though. That's the red corner on top, and we're going to see whether or not he can make the most of this situation.
Yeah, I knew Mitch was hunting that takedown. He was waiting for the right timing, and what perfect timing that was. I mean, it was pretty seamless. He went in for that. It was almost like a knee tap. And he got him right down pretty easily. Went inside the guard, which is not preferable, but if you're going to do some damage and the bottom guy's not throwing up triangles and arm bars, then you're gravy. You're going to sit here and you're going to dominate the round.
And it causes Jake Atwell to have to demonstrate a different part of his game plan, and Mitch can try to read that and gain more information for future rounds as well. Clearly, it's the case that Jake Atwell is very, very good at playing the range game, and it's also the case that Mitch Dean knows how to dance back and forth on that front. Mitch Dean says, okay, I'm going to present you a new question here. What are you going to do from full guard after this takedown?
Yeah. Jake, I'm surprised he's accepting the bottom position here. Because you don't win fights from this position, and but he said he's like, I'm gonna have some elbows, I'm gonna have some stuff for him from the bottom, and not a ton of damage done by Mitch, but ultimately he was the one who got the takedown. He might have edged off the round there.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. It's so close. Not a whole lot of scoring events either means that anything you do see has to just be redoubled in value. And I do think that ultimately coming out of that one, Mitch just moved first, and that counts for a lot. That being said, Jake Atwell is not sporting damage. There's a lot of rounds to score points back, and there's a lot of rounds to try to go for a kill during.
Yeah, no, a lot of time left here in this fight. Here in the title fights, they're going 5-minute rounds versus 3-minute rounds. And that, man, you'd be surprised, Chris, with that extra 2 minutes will do to shift fights certain ways, to shift the cardio level certain ways. It's kind of a different fight.
Yeah, we're going to see how things pan out moving into round number 2. Both of these fighters, of course, getting that expert consultation. But furthermore, I don't think that, especially when it comes to the actual striking game plan, either of these guys have yet to find a way in against one another, which means that we could be seeing another feel-out round. And that still leaves 3 on the table for more action to take place. So I'm not too worried about that being the case. But what if it's just the matter of both of these fighters realizing the way that this is going to end is on the ground?
Yeah, and something that just popped into my head was, Jake's going to have to get him to the ground, I mean, unless he's going to try to connect and knock him out or do something significant on the feet, he can't keep taking it down like this by Mitch. Mitch is just going to do this over and over and over and over again, and he's used to it. He's hunting that takedown. But I want to see Jake start landing some big shots on him. I think that could change the fight for him.
I definitely agree with that. As it currently stands, Jake is once again back to that same low center of gravity position, one that you think would be well suited to defending against takedown attempts. And I think that he's starting to right the way. You see right there, a little bit of a dart down by Mitch Dean immediately matches Jake Atwell, launches that torso forward just in order to keep Jake propelled back away from any vulnerable spots.
Yeah, Jake's got to get some offense going. He can't just keep circling, putting his back to the cage especially. He's got to explode forward and start coming with some big combinations because Mitch is starting to get comfortable.
All right. Back towards his leg pick. Once again, it is going to be Mitch coming out on top, and this time he has a little bit more momentum to push up the hips of Jake Atwell and in kind get more of an approach towards this torso. Jake trying to lock in, gets the overhooks to try to stop a further move up the top, and now it's up to Mitch to try to answer back and make the most of this position.
Yeah, I want to see Mitch start scoring some shots from here. I know Jake's staying busy from the bottom, slapping him, hitting him, elbowing him. And I think Mitch could reply in return and would help his cause a bit. But ultimately, Jake's got to remember that Mitch doesn't mind laying here and winning the fight here. That's what he did in his last fight. He dominated from the top. He mauled the guy, and it looked like he's up to a little bit more of the same.
All right. Mitch now solidly trying to re-engage. Meanwhile, on the other side, Jake just happy to play the ground, draw guard or something like that. He's going to get popped in the nose for those efforts. Immediately, Mitch throws himself right back on top. Lay's going to be pinned now. Good movement there with that to keep the right side of his hips from advancing. Jake Atwell could have a shot at reversing things as he tries to either lock into a headlock or blade those hips to leverage his way out of this position.
Yeah, Mitch is a grinder. You know what I'm saying? Whether he's in guard, half guard, or side control, he's going to lay here. He's going to put pressure on you. He's going to make you suffer. He's going to make you hold his weight. and he's going to score some shots, and the referee's not going to break it up because he's scoring shots. It's not like he's not doing anything. Beautiful get up from Jake Atwell. That's exactly what he needed to get this fight going, but he's got to have some offense. He's been on the receiving end of a lot of wrestling here, and it's not going well for him.
You know, it's so easy from an outsider's perspective to just say, you know that this takedown is not coming. It's clearly the case that Mitch Dean has gear shifted to where this is going to be his strategy going forward. Just knee him in the face.
It would seem that easy, Chris. It would seem that easy, right? But yeah, like you say, even Jake knew this is what kind of fight that Mitch was going to bring. You know, he said it when we interviewed him on Cagezilla Unchained. He said, I know what he's going to do. He's going to try to take me down. I'm going to try to stop that takedown. He's going to try to take me down again. But we're sitting here facing reality, and he doesn't have an answer. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to inside the cage. Everything is shown inside the cage, and it's being shown right now.
That's a bloody nose there from Jake Atwell on the bottom, doing a good job this time of trying to isolate the head of his opponent, but still in a tough position. That's a lot of body weight has been laying on him now for multiple rounds, and we got 3 more of these to go. Still a minute left in round number 2. He's trying to worm his way out there, but I love the fact that the run through, the ability to operate on top and continue to provide the pressure is something that Mitch Dean has latched onto, and he's trying to bring himself to victory through that.
Yeah, straight domination from the dean of the mat, Mitch Dean, and whether he's scoring rib shots or just laying on top with the shoulder pressure, he's the one in control, and the guy on the bottom, can keep his guard locked all day, but that's not going to win him the fight.
Yep, and this is going to be 2 rounds back-to-back where, because Mitch Dean realizes the burden of being on top is either get offense or tire out your opponent, he's doing a great job of throwing this into a grind scenario, but I think that he's also just going to look better coming out of this. It's not only the control, it is the ability to set himself up for these future rounds that could bring the red corner the title.
Wow, what a title fight this is shaping up to be. I knew it was going to be a grappling battle. I knew it was going to be a wrestling versus jiu-jitsu battle. And that's kind of what we're seeing, right? Like the wrestling takedowns and then the jiu-jitsu guard. But the jiu-jitsu guard is not doing anything. And the wrestling takedowns have been dominant. They've been often. And, he's scoring some shots from the top as well. So, again, he's not neither guy doing a ton of damage. Even Jake is fighting well off his back, hitting some slaps to the face, some elbows for good measure. But you got to always remember what the judges are looking at, and I think the judges are scoring it for Dean, 2-0 probably going into the third here.
I would agree with that. Dean, I think, is just getting into a point where he's able to emphasize and play out a game plan. And I cannot say the same for what we're seeing out of the blue corner. It's clearly the case that Jake Atwell is an incredible fighter with fantastic discipline and a lot of power, but he hasn't found a way to apply it in this fight just yet.
Yeah, he's got to put everything into this third round. He's got to have something, whether it be on the feet, or possibly taking Mitch to the ground, I know he's got some good grappling himself, but he has not shown any. So he's got to really understand and dig deep here for this title fight.
Up close and personal now. Once again, tried to dive in. It's another takedown. This time a little bit higher up on the torso, yet all the same, we're back into the exact same position. A little bit of a better guard currently established for Jake Atwell, where he's able to plant his ankles under that groin area and therefore use that as leverage to try to create more distance between him and Mitch Dean. Mitch Dean, though, still happy to try to propel himself forward with one big launch. He can get himself into good striking position and wrench himself out of the overhooks. That the person below him is currently putting under him.
He abandoned the butterfly hooks and went to full guard. I thought he could have kept those butterfly hooks and used them to maneuver his opponent, Dean. He had the double underhook, the overhooks, and I thought maybe he could have gone for a sweep there. But going back to the conventional guard is not necessarily where I think Atwell's going to have an advantage here. So Dean again. being the dean of the mat that he is, and continuing to impose his will on Atwell here in this big title fight. And I know both these guys want this title so bad, but Atwell is really not showing what it takes to really come out on top here. He's got to have something in this different than this here in this third round.
And here is what I will say. Jake Atwell is doing a good job of playing defense. Defense, though, unfortunately doesn't win you everything, as yet again we get a reset on takedown. Atwell keeping that knee up, doesn't want Dean to be able to use those legs to propel himself up and over in orbit. But at the same time, Atwell isn't providing any offense now. While he's stopping submissions from coming through, which has been the name of the game for Mitch Dean time and time again, the problem is that he's not able to get out from under this.
No. Defense wins games in football, but offense wins fights in MMA. You know what I mean? So this is not football. This is MMA, and you can be as defensive as you want, but the guy scoring the most offense in this game is going to be winning. The guy scoring the takedowns, the guy scoring the punches, the guy scoring the significant strikes. That is who's going to be winning the fight, and that's been all Mitch Dean so far here in this title fight.
Legs still pinned. Mitch Dean unable to get full advance going in this half guard position. But at the same time, Atwell from down below trying to just wrench up and over or try to get them both 50-50 with their sides to the mat so that he could maybe create separation. It's just not working, though. And yet again, it is controlled by Mitch Dean. Now able to get an elbow upon the face. Atwell having to lock himself in for the long haul. 1 minute and 40 seconds still left in this fight. In this round, with 2 rounds to go after this. I think this may just be where Atwell will come to rest for the rest of this one.
Yeah, no, I think this is the last round. I think in this title fight, there's only 3 5-minute rounds. And so I got to see Jake doing something more here. I mean, Mitch hasn't been in a bad spot here this whole fight. I haven't seen him in danger. He just took an up kick right there for diving in there. But, really hasn't been in any significant trouble this whole fight.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at the contrast between their two physiques right now. It's the case that Atwell looks like he's been under the struggle bus, and he literally has this entire fight. Mitch Dean, though, throwing himself maybe a little bit too deep here, is going to be caught up with that small headlock coming out from the left arm of Atwell. Atwell looking for a way around to try to navigate into his own position, but there's the head popping out. Mitch Dean back where he wants to be to lay this in for the last 30 seconds of this round.
Yeah, 30 seconds to go. You got to throw up a Hail Mary. Look at Jake Atwell trying to sink in an Ezekiel choke maybe from the bottom. But, he's got to get the feet in the hips. He's got to do something. He's held this guard, and I think that's just his jiu-jitsu instinct kicking in. But, man, Mitch Dean pretty darn dominant.
Yeah, Mitch Dean, yet another round running, able to get 2 more takedowns. Incredible stuff.
Great stuff from both guys. Great heart, great grappling battle. But wow, Mitch Dean showing that he's going to be a featherweight to really hard to deal with. You got to really put some strikes on him, and if you're going to the ground with him, you better have some wrestling.
Yep, and it looks like he's going to be taking this brand of wrestling the full length of his reign as, I believe, what is about to be the future champion of this division.
Yeah, really happy for both guys to get this opportunity. But you know what they say about opportunities, it comes down to the guy that seizes that opportunity. And I believe Mitch Dean was that guy tonight. I didn't see Jake really showing his full potential. I know he's going to be a little frustrated when he goes back and looks at this one. But showed a lot of good effort. Didn't really take a lot of significant damage. Wasn't really in terrible positions himself, but didn't put himself in a position to win the fight. And Mitch did, So great stuff from Mitch. Great to see both of these guys down in their respective weight classes that they should be in. Let's send it down to Chris here to call this one and make it official.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, we go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. Judge 1 scores about 29-28. Judge 2 scores about 29-28. And Judge 3 scores about 30-27, all in favor of your winner by unanimous decision. And new Cagezilla Featherweight Champion, out of the red corner, it's Mitch Dean.
Congratulations to Mitch Dean for the victory, and we have a new champion coming out of this one. Brent, it was an incredible fight. I cannot wait to see more, and what should hopefully be a long line of title defenses.
Yeah, Mitch Dean looked great out there. I was surprised the judges scored at 29-28. That means they gave Atwell one of the rounds, which I don't know which one, right? Maybe the first one, but yeah, great stuff from Mitch Dean, and really looked great out there. Really excited to see
Mitch, I need you.
Let's get your interview, young man. The featherweight champion, Mitch Dean. Give him a follow. Dean of the Mat on IG. He's going to have
Mitch, what's going on? Congratulations. I know you're a happy man right now.
I am. Very happy.
Very happy. And going to the ground seemed to be something that you took advantage of, and you capitalized on that. So my question would be, was that a strategy or something you saw in the fight and were like, this is how I can get to this outcome?
I've wrestled my whole life, so it just comes natural. Trying to use my other mixed martial arts skills, but the wrestling just comes out of me. So tried to strike a little bit more, move around, but at the end of the day, I got to trust real reliable. So back to that was it.
I felt like intelligence went a lot into that. I know fighting is a lot about physicality, mental warfare, but how much of that intelligence strategy goes into that, especially with that wrestling background?
I have such good coaches and training partners. They come up with a perfect game plan, and all I have to do is listen and then execute. So just super grateful for my team, and glad I could get the job done tonight.
And what is next for you?
I want to go pro. I fought amateur long enough. I'm 26, time to go pro.
26, I love it. Give it up for Mitch, guys. Congratulations, Mitch.